what's up you guys, this is Rob from Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be revisiting Excalibur Prime. Now, there is a lot to be said about this one, and I don't want anybody to get up in arms about this, but I'm going to be real with you. After the previous video that I put out about, the history lesson of nerfs, it really got me thinking about all of the things that we had been through, all of the back in the day stuff, and it really got me inspired to whip out the Excalibur Prime. I started reading through all of your comments and everybody sharing their history of nerfs and all of the things that they love that just got whittled into nothing, and us kind of moving on and changing from the old systems that we had, that I kind of really wanted to pull him out of the back of my closet, because let's be real, you guys haven't seen me touch Excalibur in ages. So I figured I would pull him out, and I pull them out for all of you to see. Now, before we move on with this conversation, first thing that I need to do is, if you haven't, pleasured yourself today, you know what I'm talking about, you might want to do that before we move on with the video, because I need you in a good mood before I say the things that I'm gonna say, especially the console people. So, you can pause the video now, you can click off on the video, do whatever you gotta do, then come back after, 5-10 minutes. But anyway, moving along onto the hot button issues. I know a lot of people have been wondering and wishing and hoping and, let's be honest, bitching and moaning about trying to get access to Excalibur Prime, whether it's on PC for a second run or for console. And I'm gonna be frank with you, my stance on this is, no baby, no! And I have several reasons for that. One of the biggest being the fact that Excalibur Umbra will be available eventually. And part of me, this is honestly kind of the number one big reason is, if Excalibur Umbra, whenever they get released, and we'll have a discussion about that later, let's not talk about Russian DE with Excalibur Umbra. Not in Mama's house, not today. But basically, if Excalibur Umbra gets released, and they have similar or better stats to Excalibur Prime, you damn well know ain't nobody gonna choose whatever this is, whatever the hell this is, over that cool ass looking Excalibur Umbra. That Excalibur Umbra is sexy as fuck. If you haven't seen him, I don't know, I'll slide in a picture somewhere, because shit, he is sexy. And all of the Chinese tags that they had for the description in the video, I was like, ooh, it is you are too much, you are too sexy, and everybody is gonna leave poor Excalibur Prime in the dust, because look, that's him with Edo Prime armor, and he still kind of looks boring. I mean, if you look at it, let's take a look real quick. Banshee Prime, how badass does she look as compared to original Banshee, right? Look at her sexy ass. Look at that, alright? And we get dumb little Excalibur Prime looking like a doofus over here. Then who else do we have? We have Necros Prime. Look at Necros Prime. He got wings and shit. He looks all special and all that kind of spikiness. As opposed to that. No, come on. You cannot tell me that is crazy good. As opposed to Excalibur Prime. And I'm very scared to show because I don't know what I have here. Oh, that's the Prisma skin. Look at that. Even the Prisma skin looks kind of sicker than the Excalibur Prime. Excalibur Prime just looking so dull and so boring. So, in the name of fashion frame, leave Excalibur Prime out of this, okay? Because you damn well know all of the new kids who were not there in the veteran days would just leave Excalibur Prime's ass in the dust. They'd be like, oh, I see the hottie over there. Peace. Some sad man at the bar counter. They're like, oh, thanks for the drink, I'm done with you. And they're gonna move on to the sexy Excalibur Umbra whenever that gets released. So a part of me is like, man, you're not gonna appreciate Excalibur Prime the way that us veterans appreciate Excalibur Prime. And now, when I say that, I need to clarify this. Well, let me clarify this first. This is just whatever build it is now. I haven't played him in so long that I probably need to look and revise. But that's the build that we're going to be using today. Is that a part of me is kind of like, alright, you're not going to appreciate Excalibur Prime the way that we appreciate Excalibur Prime. And when I say veterans, one of the big things that I really don't want to get into people's heads is that veterans are better than anyone. Because veterans are not better than anyone. However, the one thing veterans do have over other players is that they've been through some shit. We've been through some shit, and that's why I got so I was reading all the comments, and I was like, I know, I feel you. I know how it feels to be a veteran and going through all the nerfs and all the roller coasters that we've been put through all this whole time. This is the weapon build that I'm putting on for his Exalted Blade. By the way, Drift and Contact, you know, when we talk about don't get too used to anything, right now it does apply the combo counter to the blade strikes of Exalted Blade, but it has been addressed by DE that it is something that they're gonna touch eventually. It's just on there because I gotta take advantage of it while it's still here before I get yanked away from me, you know? I gotta take advantage of it. So yeah, let's talk about like Excalibur Prime and back in the days and why I'm like, you guys would not appreciate him the way that we appreciated him. Now, for those of you guys who did not know, originally the game actually started out with just one single tile set, which was the Corpus tile set. Where are we going? Let's do Crossfire Exterminate. Was the Corpus ship tile set. So that was the original. Grineer, everything was on there. It's just the Corpus ship tile set. That's where it all originated from. I believe when I was actually playing, though, they did have the Grineer Galleon and the Grineer Asteroid tile sets. So, you know, I'm not gonna say I was closed beta veteran. I know the closed beta veterans out there. They have their own special things where the skill trees. Yup. I know you had the skill trees. I watched Total Biscuit's videos on those skill trees. I was like, interesting. But yeah, so it's kind of like this unifying feeling of, man, the game has changed so much. Parkour 1.0, Parkour 2.0, the whole did you know we had a stamina system back in the day? I'm gonna be real with you though. To this day, I don't know what the fuck that stamina system did, because that little green bar, whether it was active or whether it was not active, I don't feel like it did jack shit. I was like, oh, my stamina bar's out. Okay, cool. What does that do? Nothing. Nothing really. If I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh my god, I'm gonna die already. That's what happens. That's what happens when you've been away from Excalibur for too long. You forget how to play him. But yeah. No, like, my thing with Excalibur is, like, this is one of those things that is just gonna get tossed by the wayside, you know, by newer players who don't necessarily appreciate him. He's just gonna end up becoming mastery fodder, and honestly, that to me is like a sad, sad story. Because of the fact that he was literally back in the day where we didn't have Prime Access. We didn't have Prime Access back in the day. Technically, he was our first Prime Access. But back in the day, we didn't have Prime Access, so, you know, we had to farm Mag Prime, we had to farm Frost Prime. There was no such thing as being able to get it on release date by buying Plaid and all that kind of shit. And I'll be honest, even back in the day, I did not give a shit about those Primes. I did not give a flying fuck about Primes all the way back in the day, because the models, I was like, the models are really the only thing that made them distinctive. Because the stats really weren't all that great for them. The stats were just kind of plain, you know? They were like, oh, you get a tiny... Like, I believe that Excalibur's boost is just like, I think he gained an extra polarity, and on top of that, he gained an extra polarity and he had slightly faster shield recharge rate, which I don't even know if that's even true anymore. Because I've never even looked at shield recharge rate as kind of like a big bonus. Oh, and he got extra armor. He did get extra armor. So it's just those little buffs that didn't really make any of the old primes seem all that fantastic. And in fact, for the longest time, like, I did not farm for Mag Prime or for Frost Prime. I was just like, I don't really like how Frost Prime looks, and I don't really like the way that Mag Prime looks. And I mean, if we look at it, there have been so many changes to their models since way back in the day that now like, if it's kind of like looking back at even Loki Prime, I'm like, oh, well, you look okay as compared to the new Primes. Part of me is like, God, can we get a Prime refresh? Because Frost Prime's looking kind of jank and old. Excalibur Prime looks jank and old. Mag Prime looks jank and old. Ember doesn't look too bad. She was the first one when we took a look at it and we're like, oh my God, Ember Prime and her mohawk looks so good, right? That was the first time we were like, oh shit. And then they stepped up their game with, like, Rhino, and we're like, alright, Rhino's looking really cool. And then, legitimately, Loki was the first one that they did a massive, like, revamp on. So part of me was like, holy shit, like, things are changing. Things are changing in the world of Primes. Because back in the day, it was just a little gilding here and there, you know? It wasn't anything too massive, but now it was like, shit. it's like almost like a complete visual rework of the way the frames look. I mean, Saren Prime, holy shit, with her infested dreads, I'm into it. I'm so into it. So a part of me is kind of like, when we look at like Umbra, you know, Excalibur Umbra, I'm like, damn, he looks fucking sexy. And I'll be honest with you, gameplay wise, hell yeah, I would pick Excalibur Umbra any day over Excalibur Prime. However, at least I'll have Excalibur Prime and I know what he means to me. You know, Excalibur Prime is almost kind of like this. It's like an old portrait of the way the game used to be. You know, it's kind of like an old photo. When you look at an old family photo, you're like, oh, I remember those days. But newer players won't have that attachment. They're just gonna look at him as, oh, he's more mastery. And I'm like, you're looking at my heritage as like, oh, mastery fodder, bloop, let's replace him with the cooler looking thing, you know? And that definitely hurts my heart when you think that you could just toss out Excalibur Prime. In fact, right now, I feel like there's a lot of people that only really want Excalibur Prime because of the fact that they can't have Excalibur Prime. And that's, to me, I'm like, ugh. Like, for real? Like, is that really the only reason you want him? Like, if anything, let's try to gear up for the really cool one, which is going to be Excalibur Umbra, right? Because Excalibur Umbra is going to be the badass looking one. If you guys haven't watched the Chinese trailer for Excalibur Umbra, like, they translate it, and I'm like, damn, that shit sounds sick as fuck. And, you know, here we are with, like, dinky looking Excalibur Prime. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. No, fuck you, spies. Exterminate? Two exterminates. Let's do this one. So that's kind of like my big stance on Excalibur Prime, because I think that like a lot of people are really are like campaigning to get him very hard, even though legitimately he's not that big an upgrade to Excalibur, to just the flat out Excalibur kit. And at the same time, we have the Excalibur Umbra, which will eventually come out and eventually outshine, you know, Excalibur Prime. But yeah, to me, it's just kind of like this whole history of things, and it kind of like reminds us of like times gone by. So I don't know. I want to know like how other people feel about it. I understand that there's going to be a lot of people that just want him to want him, but if someone can give a good reason as to, you know, as to why he should be made available, of course I'll listen to that. I won't necessarily agree with it. I'll let you know that right now. But you know, as it stands, like I'm like, the new players aren't gonna appreciate him, you know, and somebody's gonna be like, no, I will appreciate him. I was like, no, you don't understand the history behind this man. Oh my god, like I remember, what else do I remember? I remember when like the Akbolto was like a fucking beast in the game. Like, oh my god, do you remember like when all of the old versions of the bosses? Like, I mean, even Kayla Dathame, she wasn't even that, like, crazy a rework from too long ago, but even then, she just basically used to be a heavy gunner that had access to rollerballs and rockets. That's all she was, right? That's all she really was. But apparently, you know, now she's got her own crazy boss fight. Teal Rhaegor was just, I believe he was just, Teal Rhaegor was a freaking, butcher, but with like a sword, and he had like a weird upside down mask on, and you know, he made snarky remarks about our outfits. I'm like, damn, like, and to think that wasn't even that long ago, right? So the game is like eternally changing, and Excalibur Prime is kind of like one of those funny looks back at the way the game used to be. You know what I mean? We're gonna get our Earth remaster soon. Here's the thing, we're gonna get an Earth remaster. Remember when we didn't even have Earth? When Earth didn't even have its own dedicated tile set? Because I sure as hell do. It's kind of like this funny way to kind of look at the old way that the game used to be. You know, looking at the old model. And it's kind of reminiscent, and that's kind of like really why I wanted to play him today, because of all of the discussions that happened in chat, and that's something that I think the veterans are able to do that none of the newer players are able to do. And I hate to make this, you know, a veteran against newer player thing, but I do kind of, you know, want to remind people that that's the worth. Number one, DE can't do it because legally they agreed to not be able to do it. So there's no way they could actually legitimately do it. But the fact is, it's also kind of like a way for them to provide something for all of those people that were there at the very beginning, to the people who did support them through what was possibly the hardest time in the history of DE. And for all of those people who are still there now and still play the game, to be able to kind of go, hey, remember back when we didn't know what was inside the suits? When we didn't realize we were little children? Yeah, and remember when people fucking flipped out and were like, oh my god, I hate the fact that we're kids. Oh, this game is terrible. Remember all of the times that they said Warframe was over and Warframe, like, was not even remotely over? Remember, oh my god. Can we talk about this real quick? Can we talk about this as veterans? And for the newer kids, remember when the only Warframe YouTubers, only people who covered Warframe YouTubers, or Warframe content, was Mogamu, aka Mike B, and wait a second, for all you people out there who wanted to criticize me about the fact that my channel name is A Gay Guy Plays, one of our YouTubers, one of our biggest YouTubers, his name was People's Choice Gaming, aka Tits. Y'all had all you straight people who want to complain about my name. Did y'all forget about Tits? Y'all forget about Tits? I hope you did not forget about People's Choice Gaming, aka Tits. That's right. We had a YouTuber named Tits. So there is your A Straight Guy Plays for everybody who wants to bitch and moan about me and my A Gay Guy Plays. Y'all had Tits. Get the fuck over it and move the fuck on. But at the end of the day, that's kind of like, I don't know. It's for me, Excalibur Prime is kind of like a look back at the simpler times of Warframe. You know what? A simpler time of Warframe when we didn't have YouTubers that were just big ass jackass assholes that were putting out toxicity in their community. The worst that we had was the testosterone gamers. We're the ones, this is the top tier best build ever, but we never had content creators that were like openly attacking DE, openly attacking other Warframe content creators. We didn't have crazy dramas about that back in the day. Everybody was less of a bitch back then. Anyway, let me know in the comments below how you feel about pitting Excalibur Prime's look versus Excalibur Umbra's look, because let's be real. Let me know how you feel. Are you going to drop, would you drop Excalibur Prime for Excalibur Umbra? Excalibur Umbra got a scarf. He got good dangly bits. His dangly bits look good. Alright? DE doesn't always nail dangly bits. But from what I've seen from Excalibur Umbra, those dangly bits were on point. Okay? And it's cool because then you have like standard Excalibur, which is kind of pristine and kind of like dude looking. And then you get Excalibur Umbra, which is like this mysterious dark figure. You know? Just let me know how you feel in the comments below. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. Specifically before you watch any like dramatic video. That's a good strategy. Do that before you see a video title that you know might upset you, and maybe you'll get it out before you have to get it out. Anyway, you guys take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye-bye!